All right, everyone. Thank you for uh, tuning in. My name's Nick Durazio from GhostGamers.net, and today I will be interviewing the ranged carry slash specialist player for Fnatic, Shinobu. You may have recognized him from a very popular Lost Vikings versus Illidan video, as well as all sorts of fantastic play Fnatic has been putting out lately. So, yeah, without further ado, thanks for being on the show, man.
No problem. It's good to be here.
Yeah, yeah. There's so much to talk about. How do we even begin? Let's just start. How did you first get into competitive gaming?
My first taste of competitive gaming was in League of Legends,
Hmm.
where I went pro for the first WCS tournament they have, which
Okay.
was like coming out of beta. And I went to California and stuff for that, played on stage, that was amazing. And that was pretty much my first taste of the pro scene.
So, were you always like a competitive person, with video games, or was it League that really brought that out of you?
Yeah, I was always trying to be competitive. I started in Halo
Hmm.
and Halo 2. Like, I went to some small LAN events, like local events, playing tournaments. I didn't even know there was like a bigger like scene. Like I didn't even know that was possible until much later. But
Hmm.
I started off with that.
So, Uh, FPS, I guess. Is that something you still play, or is it something you've kind of, you know, stopped investing much time into and you really hit the MOBAs hard?
I still played like when they come out occasionally. I never played
Uh-huh.
them like hardcore too much.
Hmm.
But my general rule is I keep one game when I'm going really hard competitive. I keep one game competitive, and I just keep one game on the side for fun. It's usually like a single player or like a sandbox just to mess around, like unwind.
Dude, that's crazy. I literally do that same thing. It's like now for me is just HOTS. Like HOTS all day, HOTS, play HOTS. But when I'm done with HOTS, I have, single player RPG. That's crazy. There's got to be something to that though, you know?
For me it's just I don't know, sometimes like even if you love the game, like I love HOTS, I can play it so much. Sometimes you just get stressed, sometimes you just need to take a break,
Hmm.
play something else, something chill, easy.
Yeah, yeah. So what is your chill and easy game?
Right now I'm working through Majora's Mask on 3DS. I just bought that. So
Oh,
I've been playing
gee.
through that.
The classics.
Yeah.
Nice. So I mean, let's talk about Heroes of the Storm. I mean, were you always like a Blizzard guy? Do you like what first got you into the game? Do you love the lore? Do you love the characters, or just a brand new MOBA? I want to play it.
Well, actually, this game specifically, um, I was interested in, but I didn't have a key,
Hmm.
and I actually got recruited into the game to play on the team I'm playing on now. They're like, "Hey, we have a key. Like, play for our team." I'm like, "All right." So
No
like,
way.
put me on Rainer on the time. They're like, "Yeah, Rainer's pretty easy to play. Just play this for now until you learn the game. Like,
Hmm.
hit R in team fights."
Yeah. Jeez. So that must. So how long ago was that now?
Oh man, it's actually probably been like somewhere between like 8 to 10 months now. It's been a
Jeez.
while already.
Yeah, because the whole I think that was definitely I think one of the earliest like misconceptions that Raynor is easy to play. When like in reality, I think he's one of the harder hero to play in like competitive, because he's so reliant on positioning and like no escape, you just sit there and shoot.
Yeah, for sure. Like if you're positioned badly, like he's like number one target for CC locking and killing. Like
Hmm.
he is priority number one, and especially now with this patch, he actually the build I use revolves around one of the smallest skill shots in the game. So
Uh-huh.
there's still some elements of skill in there too.
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna ask actually, what do you think of the new Raynor? I mean, do you think he's better, worse?
I personally like the other Rainer better because I like auto attacking more. I like orb walking a lot, and that's more my play style. But I think he's actually stronger this patch with more of a caster style.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you go his Q build, towards like level 16, I think that's when you get the one where it does 50% more damage and it stuns.
Yeah, the bullseye.
Yeah,
Yeah, his Q build is insane right now.
yeah, you're just doing loads of damage because if you hit with both of them and it's both reduced by four, and now you have three, it's just crazy. Yeah, it almost sometimes feel like you're playing a tankier version of Nova. You know?
Yeah, I saw the patch notes and I saw the build and I was like, that's gonna be the build. And then I tried it and it was even more broken than I thought because the 4 seconds applies to both charges when you
Uh-huh.
use the second Q. So you actually get 4 seconds off one charge of the Q and 4 seconds off the second charge of the Q as well. So you
No
can
way.
almost keep spamming Qs like the entire fight, and they hit for like 600 to 700 at level 17
Yeah,
because of the talents. Like,
but as long as you hit it, right? As long as you have confident
yeah,
rounds and you're confident in your
yeah.
ability to hit them.
Yeah, so you have to hit it or it throws everything off. But
Wow,
if you do, it's insane damage.
yeah, yeah. Um, so all right, so I guess you got into Heroes just because you wanted the key, and were you ever, I guess, to kind of go back to my first question, were you ever a fan of like Blizzard lore, or all these characters new?
I know all the characters. I
Hmm.
played Warcrafts in vanilla and
Oh
like
yeah.
was in a top end raiding guilds. And I
Oh
did
yeah.
that like drained my life for a while.
Same
So,
here,
ton
man.
of fun.
Same here, man. Molten Core raids, 40 mans. What? That was a
Yes.
thing. Like I can't believe people signed up for that. It took like eight hours, and you like, and the overwhelming probability is you got nothing. Like nothing. Crazy. What a game. Well, hey, we could talk about Vanilla WoW all day, but
Yeah.
Fnatic. What position do you play, and why do you play that role? I guess for Fnatic.
I play the range assassin specialist, and I sometimes play melee depending on the comp, but I'm usually like a third melee if it happens.
Okay.
And I've tried a few of the roles, like I switched around a little bit, but I always end up just going to that like range damage dealer role. It's what I always played in League. No matter how many times I switch around, I always come back to that. I'm just like, why did I try anything else? Like this is just my thing. Like that's my comfort, and it's just what I'm naturally good at,
Yeah.
as opposed to the other roles.
So like the concept of staying back and healing people, like no way, right?
I mean, I can do it, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I can do this pretty well. Like I'm getting good at this, and then as soon as I try another like range damage, I'm like, no, this is my thing. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. What type, I guess, of skill set do you need to be, be a powerful ranged assassin player? Like, what do you need to be looking for?
Um, Most of it is just positioning and being able to read your opponents and knowing like when they're preparing to go on you, like when they're about to go, and like getting yourself out of a bad situation. The
Hmm.
other things like, orb walking and using skills, stuff like that, it's all mechanics. Like you can just train that like
Yeah.
mentally and you'll just get it. But the positioning is the really thing that sticks and is probably the most important thing.
Yeah. Um, what do you think, I guess, are some of the more underutilized heroes or even strategies when it comes to heroes right now?
Um, Underutilized as in things I would think would be successful or just
Well,
in general?
I guess the spirit of the question is like, what do you think more people should be like? How do you think people should be playing and they're not? Or like, what do you think are
Okay.
some things that people should be doing because it's really good, but like no one's doing it, like no one's utilizing it?
Um, well, for now, I think the most obvious one is Vikings. I
Mm-hmm.
think they're super strong. No one's busted them out yet, my team included.
Uh-huh.
I want to. We're just waiting for some time to work on it.
I see. I see.
But I think when they come out, it's gonna be crazy. Like there's gonna be crazy things to be done with them.
Yeah, I was out. It was funny. That was actually going to be my next question because if you are into like solo queuing at all or just kind of like grinding up, the Lost Vikings have a like crazy high win rate, and maybe it's just because a lot of players don't know how to do it, or maybe because you're right, they're like totally unbroken. What do you think makes them so powerful?
Yeah, I thought at first I was like, wow, a character that's really hard to play in solo queue having that higher win rate, like it must be broken. But then
Hmm.
I really thought about it and just the raw numbers, like they're worth a fourth of a kill,
Hmm.
and one wave of experience is worth about roughly like a level 8 full hero kill. So even if like if you're splitting lanes getting XP and you're just straight suiciding them, like they're killing you, they're essentially wasting time on you, you're
Hmm.
still getting more XP worth from the soak that your Viking got, even if you're dying relatively quickly once you get to lane. And
Yeah.
especially at lower levels, which is the majority of the players are like, and where that win rate comes from,
Hmm.
like they're not so much like they don't recognize as much the importance of soaking lanes. So just having those Vikings there, like, will get your team a super fast level lead, like, and without even noticing it. Like if you're just not in lanes for like 2 minutes, you'll be down like 2 levels just like that, and it's really hard to come back from that.
Yeah, and that's not even considering what the four other members of your team can be doing because you're soaking the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think the win rate is so high, because people just neglect to soak a lot more at lower levels. Like they don't realize the importance as much.
Hmm. And and you see, the points you're making all seem like so obvious, but even you yourself and even your team haven't played him in like a competitive, like on like tournament situation. Like why? Like is he like why is that?
Well, the thing is, it's always like it usually happens. Like it happened a lot in League when I played too. Like new heroes, like it's a lot to just put on the line. You're like,
Hmm.
well, we you can only have tested the comp so much when they're that new,
Yeah.
and also finding the time. There's so many tournaments going around with heroes is the main thing for us. There's so many tournaments going around, and we're like, okay, we're preparing for this day, we're preparing for that
Hmm.
day, and it's not like we're not. We don't essentially have that much time to just throw in a completely new like hero and comp
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of the reasons for it, and a lot of the reason, like, if people have mixed results with it because it's new, like you're not going to be 100% like godlike on a hero the week after it comes out. It's just not going to happen for any player.
Yeah.
So you can only be so confident, and you don't want to risk that on a tournament day.
So, I trust if it ever does happen for Fnatic, are you gonna be the Vikings player? I mean, I hope so.
Yes, yeah, I've been practicing it a lot lately
Hmm.
in hopes that we can start to develop a comp and scrim with it soon.
Yeah, and I guess speaking of your practice with them, I'm sure you know how popular that clip of you kiting kiting the Illidan with Eric is. Can you just now like what happened with that? Like how did that happen? Like just please run that play through. You're like how did that happen?
Well, basically, it's garden, so
Mhm.
there's a lot of objectives up at all the time. It's either night or there's a lot of merc camps up. So I got a lot of solo split time while my team does objectives, things like that. So I have one in each lane. Their team's also doing objectives, so they're focused on that. And they're trying to match the soak. So they had Illidan solo against me for
Mhm.
a while with Eric, and I would just, constantly just like shoot the pea shooter at him, like do
Mhm.
random stuff. He'd try to jump on me. I'd just get away. Like I did that over and over, just kind of messing with him. And then I think eventually it just got too much, and he was like, "All right, I'm gonna kill him,
Yeah, yeah.
no matter what."
No matter
And then,
what.
especially when he goes out, and then I start chasing him, and he comes back in.
Yeah, that's so
I
funny.
think it was just too much. I think it was a rage play.
Yeah, because he like came back in. It's like, why? You couldn't kill him the first time. Don't go back in. And then he starts getting slowed by the frost shots. Oh gosh, it was bad.
Yeah.
So, is that kind of the most recommended play you think when you're playing with Lost Vikings? Like, focus your micro on Eric, let the other guys just kind of like auto attack or sit in lane or what? Like, how do you build? How do you build the Vikings?
I'm between two builds right now.
Hmm.
There's like a standard build that's everyone's going for that I've been messing around with, which has been the region on one. You pick up their Q and W skills
Hmm.
on seven, and you get the boat
Hmm.
and the shield, and you kind of just go like for standard like combat, which is pretty good. Um, I recommend it for like smaller maps, but on the bigger maps, I've seen huge success with like split pushing builds,
Hmm.
where you go like basically allowing all of them to split push pretty fast. I get the stealth on Eric, which lets you just kind of hide instead
Yeah.
of running away all the way from a lane. So I use him to push the deep lanes and get XP and pressure that way. I
Hmm.
get the Burning Rage on Olaf, which lets him solo push as well, and then I get the attack speed on the Balog.
Yeah. Okay. And
And
yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, keep going.
I get the play again ult too.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so if you can, so you can at least contribute a little bit to team fights. Like if they try to, they pretty much have to stop you because they push as fast as normal heroes
Yeah.
individually. So if they go to stop you, and the rest of their team's trying to team fight, you can use the play again, teleport there, and contribute at least something. Like you don't have all the abilities because you're pretty much full split push, but
Yeah.
it's still an advantage.
Yeah, you see, I would I would very much enjoy to see that because I have not seen anyone use the play again, and it's probably just because it's not as intuitive to get like value from it, it's kind of harder
Yeah, it's pretty much like it's almost the same as picking stage dive on ETC over the
over
the
Mosh Pit.
song. I don't even know what it's called over Mosh
Mosh
Pit.
Pit,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
because the Mosh Pit gives you incredible combat power,
Hmm.
but the stage dive just gives you that global, and that's pretty much Vikings taking a global over
Yeah,
combat power.
yeah. And in that in that clip where you took out the Illidan player, you had the whenever Eric moves, he regens, right?
No,
Oh,
I
really?
didn't. Yeah, it was just the standard combat build. I
Oh,
just grabbed the well at like the perfect time,
I
and
think that I think that must have been a health globe. Like that tricked me because you were like regening as he was running. What do you think of that talent? Because that's a pretty popular one with the people that I play with.
um, it's good. Like people that take it are like when they're trying to soak lanes. It makes it a lot easier when you're if you're really trying to soak three lanes at once to take all the regen talents,
Hmm.
because he's so weak that you take any kind of poke, you're gonna die on the the
Yeah,
next hit. So
yeah,
it's really good for that.
yeah. Uh,
But the way I think is optimal to play Vikings says four people in one lane and then split your three Vikings between two lanes.
mm,
So even if one of them dies, you can kind of sub in like the third one in there. And you can also like reasonably play against another hero with two of the Vikings. You don't
yeah,
necessarily need all three.
yeah. That's pretty interesting. The concept of just like subbing in because you still don't lose any experience, which is the most vulnerable part because they're so easy to kill.
Yeah, exactly. Like everybody would like to say they could play three lanes at once and outplay all three lanes with people with less HP, but that's just not
Yeah,
reasonable.
that's not gonna happen.
Like if you're playing against someone like equal skill to you or even like close in skill to you, they're gonna either deny you or kill you in lane. So you gotta have a contingency
So
plan.
there's no so is there any sort of like viability with just going all three Vikings in one lane and just kind of like pushing it that way?
I mean they're not a bad standalone hero by themselves. I think doing that like or all three of them grouped is not just like a bad single hero by themselves. I think early it would be a mistake because their power is pretty low even together early,
Mhm.
like without the skills and without just the scaling.
Mhm.
Because you really to 1v1 somebody, you kind of need the Q at least if
Yeah.
they're grouped up, because that does a ton of damage and that actually makes them a threat. But without that, it's you're basically just auto attackers running at them, and
Yeah.
any hero with skills can outplay that early.
Yeah. And I know that I've seen some games where late game you have like a Lost Vikings can just chase really, really squishy heroes, especially heroes like Jaina, because when Jaina does her Blizzard, you just E, and then you dodge the Blizzard, and then you Z, and now you're literally on top of her.
Yeah. For now, the playstyle it's been, it's also like much easier to play than
Mhm.
having to micro each of them. Like there's obviously like a good amount of micro you can do
Mhm.
that helps, but the most optimal thing just because of the numbers seems to be just to flank from behind like a squishy and get your
Yeah.
Q like from all three on her and just on them and just kind of like body block and
Yeah.
maneuver around from there, just pressure them like crazily.
And you know what? All right. I'm saying it right now. It's official. I look forward to seeing you pick him in a competitive game. I want to see it happen, and I'm sure other people do as well. Moving on from the Lost Vikings, because I'm sure we could talk about that all day. Tychus. What about the Tychus changes from a ranged assassin player? I mean, do you think he would be picked anymore, or what?
Um, that's a really rough choice. At first, I saw it and I was like, okay, the range increase and the escape that makes it reasonable,
Hmm.
and he could definitely still be played. But the more I thought about it, I was like, we were talking and we were like, okay, we could pick Tychus here, but I was like, oh, Tychus would be really bad against this hero.
Hmm.
Oh, Tychus would also be really bad against this hero now, and there was just like a few heroes that like are played pretty often, and just like,
Yeah.
man, like it's not really gonna be like that viable to pick Tychus. A lot of teams are still picking him up, but I don't think it's that great at this moment.
Hmm.
I could possibly be wrong,
We.
but right now there's just a lot of heroes that I feel do just as much as him, but are way safer.
Yeah, and I think that's really the optimal word that you used. I'm safer. I think so many people are used to playing this completely crazy nuts, go in, Tychus. I don't need to worry about dying, and you can really like bully people with them. But you just can't do that anymore because every damage you take is like real damage now, you know? You can't just kind of like ultimate and be safe. So it's definitely a different play style, but I kind of agree. I don't think Tychus is nearly where he was.
Yeah, they basically moved him from his role, which was like, I am the tankiest damage, and you have to deal with me because I have incredible sustained damage.
Hmm.
So it just puts you in a rough spot. But now he's moved over to the role where he's like just a sustained damage dealer. He's
Hmm.
in the same role as Vala and Hammer,
Yeah.
and Hammer's safer, does more damage. Vala's safer, does more damage. Has a really nice utility ult with Rain of Vengeance.
Oh,
So it's like,
oh yeah. Like who would have thought that Hammer would start getting more picks than Tychus? Like that like 2 months ago, people would be like, "What are you crazy? No way. Who plays Hammer?"
yeah, it actually Hammer a little bit before the patch, Hammer was actually becoming super popular in EU and picked almost every game as
Really,
well.
really.
Yeah, like sometimes over Tychus, but Tychus was still picked very heavily.
Well, this kind of reminds me of earlier when Hammer, like I think it was like 7 months ago, or like when the game was like just came out. Like Sergeant Hammer was really good because she had both the graduating range and hover siege tank, and that was such a huge nerf when they took that away from her. I'm personally happy to see her like back on top and like being picked again. She's one of my favorites.
It was actually interesting because most of the people that were playing her at the time were playing that build, and I played that build at first too with the hover siege mode and the graduating range.
Hmm.
But the hover siege mode actually got in the way of first aid,
Yes.
and the graduating raid got in the way of Stone Skin.
Yeah.
So the way I was playing her at the time was with first aid and Stone Skin and just being super tanky and kind of like filling that Tychus role
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah. Well, um, people didn't nearly appreciate first aid as much as they do now. Like now, I think people really like realize how good the talent is. But oh my gosh, I can't believe they nerfed her mines that much. That was my favorite part about her. Dude, Bullhead Mines was my favorite part. I mean,
Yeah,
they were broken.
it was
Obviously,
stupid broken.
obviously they were
But
broken,
yeah,
but it was so fun. You could sit there and stack 10 mines at level 16. It was
yeah,
stupid good.
I think it would have even been okay, and they still might do it if they just took out the 5 mines talent or
Yeah,
put it on the same, just put it on the same tier as the knockback
I
mines.
think the I think the same tier sounds like a much better solution.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely something Blizzard would do too, because they don't like outright removing things if they
Hmm.
don't have to.
Yeah.
So they just put it on the same tier. They make you pick, because that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
you can have 3 mines with knockback, or you can just have 5 mines. Like
Yeah.
you want the damage, you want the utility.
Yeah.
It's a good
Now
choice.
we're talking about all of these like range damage dealers that are all unpopular, but whatever happened to Falstad, man? Man, that guy used to be so good. He was picked all the time, and like he got so many new like talents and stuff, but I never see him. Can you explain why?
Rewind.
Yeah.
They took Rewind away from him, which it felt a bit clunky, and he like had a short range hammer.
Hmm.
But if you really got that damage in on the Rewind with the two hammers
Yeah.
and then the ult, and it was insane burst,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much his only role was burst. So now he's got some cool talents. He actually feels a lot better to play, but he's just not as strong.
Yeah. What would you say his role is? Because he's fragile, he's fast, but he has some sort of utility, and obviously like he can fly. But I mean, when do you really need that?
Well, the fly becomes super important on maps like Dragonshire.
Hmm.
Like on Dragonshire, the ability to take one shrine and then be able to join your team to fight for the opposing shrine is huge.
Yeah.
And he was almost picked every game on Dragonshire because of that
Yeah.
before the nerf. Um, his and the thing is he lost damage, but his role still kind of stayed the same after the patch. Like he still is just a burst damage dealer,
Hmm.
but he got less burst.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much why he's not being picked as much.
Yeah. And I don't know what changes you would need to make to kind of have the sweet spot between, because I think you're right. With Rewind, he had way too much burst. It was crazy. But now it's always sad to see a hero that was once so unpopular just be kind of down in the dredges.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, I never liked the Mage Like heroes that much,
Hmm.
so I'm not
Yeah.
too sad about
So
it.
you're fine with it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, but can't he now go the secret weapon build? Get that auto attack damage?
I haven't seen I've seen some of it, like
Hmm.
some of my friends mess around with it in solo queue and stuff. And like it actually has decent burst,
Yeah,
but that's pretty much it. And it also it's kind of just like having another type of burst
hmm,
because you're still relying on your hammer
of
cooldown to give you
course. Yeah,
burst.
yeah,
It but you can't get gathering power
yeah.
and you can't get overdrive to
Hmm.
buff it up. So to me, it feels like a light version of just his more bursty builds.
Hmm.
But I could be wrong because I haven't done an extensive play on
Yeah.
Falstad recently.
You're too busy. I'm in the lab with Lost Vikings, which you
Yep.
should be. Stay there. I have to see this competitive Lost Vikings. Have to see it. So what type of new heroes do you want to see? Because at the end of the day, this is a beta game we're talking about. Like what type of heroes you see if there was a Blizzard developer like listening to this right now.
um, well, I already know my favorite hero is coming in, so
Oh, Sylvanas?
that's that. Yes.
Yeah, dude, Sylvanas.
Sylvanas is my all-time favorite.
If you would see me, see my room, I have a little Sylvanas pop vinyl I got from
I have the
BlizzCon
same
this year.
one
Dude, yes!
right here.
Sylvanas Bros. Oh, yes. I'm saving up my gold for her because for some reason, like spending a money on such a classy lady just seems wrong. But gold? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She's definitely gold worthy.
Worth her weight in
Worth her
golds.
weight in gold. Oh no, but I think that Sylvanas will be very cool. The stun arrows, that whole thing. It sounds fun.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see what her third ability and her second ult is because
Hmm.
they didn't release it. They showed everything else at BlizzCon. I'm like, oh man, that could like make or break the character
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. Now I'm thinking possibly a silence because we only have one silence effect.
I feel like she has to have a
Yeah, I
silence in
mean she
some
has to have
way.
a
Like
silence. It was part of her main like toolkit.
she's a banshee queen.
Yeah, yeah.
She has to have silence in
So
some way.
so it's like silence I could see, but because I was a huge Warcraft 3 nut. So I'd also want to see a life drain, very similar to what she had there. It, if you're not familiar with it, it was just basically a souped up channeling life drain, and she would
Oh
just sit
yeah.
there and she could tank damage because she was like stealing way too much damage. So that would be sick, but Sylvanas is a very good choice. I'm personally also wanting more like retro heroes. I think anyone from Rock and Roll Racing would be absolutely godlike.
That would be cool to
Yeah,
see.
yeah. All right, so Sylvanas. Is there anyone else? Is there any other like? Like maybe niche roles that you would like to see filled, or is she your main one?
Hmm. I haven't really thought about it too much. I've just been really hyped for her coming out.
Yeah.
But I think not so much that I want to play it, but I think the game needs like a really just burst heavy mage. Like they put out Jaina,
Mhm.
she has utility and slow, and she doesn't quite have an escape. She just feels like she's not quite there yet.
Mhm.
But maybe like a Kael'thas, like a fire mage, or
Yeah,
someone
yeah,
that's
man.
should blow stuff up. Like that would be
That
really
would
cool
be
to see in the
cool.
game.
Yeah. And I think they have Kel'Thuzad. I'd love to see
Oh
Kel'Thuzad,
yeah,
and that would be interesting because you would have like a different take on the Frost thing. I think that'd be interesting.
yeah, it would be interesting to see how they would do
Yeah.
that.
All right. So to I guess finish up, tell us about your stream, right? Because you stream, right?
Yeah.
If people want to, go to your stream, where do they find it, and what should they expect?
Well, I stream on Azubu,
Hmm.
under azubu.tv/shinobu.
Okay. Well, we all have that link in the post if anyone's listening, by the way.
Okay. And I always post on my Twitter as well when I'm going live.
Okay.
But I try when I play solo, I usually do commentary. I like explain why I do certain things, explain like what I expect, like what the enemy is doing, like based on what I see. Try to give like general gameplay tips that I find useful that people may not know.
Hmm.
And when I'm playing with friends, I'm usually just having a blast, making jokes, hanging out with the chat,
Sounds
things
sweet,
like
man.
that.
And we'll see some Lost Vikings lab work,
Yes, and you will
right?
see you will see my Lost
Maybe
Vikings
see,
work.
maybe that's just for me. Maybe I'll just be the one watching. I'll be scrubbing the past broadcast, trying to get every single Lost Viking games I can watch. Because going back to what we were saying, I ultimately think you're correct. I think he's super, super powerful, and once a team finds the courage to use him, I think you'll see a wave of bans uh, that would really do the hero justice. Do you have any last like shout outs? Anyone like anyone want to say to your fans, or I don't know, whoever your teammates?
Um, well, I love my teammates. They're amazing, and I'm really happy with what we've been doing for this with this game.
Hmm.
To my fans, uh, thanks for supporting me. You guys are amazing. And if anybody's watching this and hasn't already, you can check out my Twitter and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
I post often on there. Try to post some funny stuff, information, as much hero stuff as I can for new patches and things like that.
Nice. And what is your Twitter?
It is at Fanatic Shinobu.
Nice, nice. All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for the time. This has been cool. It's been
Yeah, it's been
real.
awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Hey, we have to keep that I'm Sylvanas brotherhood alive. All
Yes.
right, because I know that you have your little pop vinyl, and I'm looking at mine now too. We'll keep it alive, and I'll play that hero too when she comes out.
For sure.
All right, man. Thank you so much. This has been an interview for um, uh, GhostGamers.net. By all means, check out our site for all your Heroes of the Storm news. This has been Shinobu. Did I say that right?
Shinobu?
Shinobu.
Yeah.
All right, great. This has been Shinobu. Yeah, thanks for your time, man.
No problem.
See ya.
Take care.